Hey, I'm Taylor, a business consultant and strategist, and I'm here to teach you that you can scale your business sustainably. This is Simply Business, your playbook for structure, clarity, and strategy that grows your business without costing your lifestyle. Let's get into it.
Talk me through, because I feel like a lot of people, even for myself, it's now that I'm like really in it that I'm like, oh yeah, true, it makes sense as to why you'd have a talent manager. But for anyone that maybe wants some context as to what it kind of looks like to run a talent management agency from your side of things and why influencers and talent get managers, because I feel like it's one of those things like growing up, it's like, oh yeah, like a music artist has, you know, a manager, right? But also when you're stepping into this world of influencing, UGC, all of the things, there's big contracts, there's big deals that are happening. So what kind of role do you play for your talent?
I think I try to explain it to people that aren't in the social media world, like my parents' friends. I'm kind of like a sports agent for the girls.
Yeah.
So kind of I work with them like on their brand direction and then work with them on brand partnerships that kind of make sense in the direction that they're wanting to go in. So making sure that not only the partnerships align with, you know, them, but also the brand direction that we want to go in. So with that comes, you know, outreach, negotiations, you know, creative concepts, contracts, all that kind of thing. So just signing the deal, getting it across the line, and then, you know, getting approvals and making sure the content goes up and talking about boosting and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, I love it. And before we go into like the motherhood conversation, I have quite a few listeners more so in like the UGC space, I'd say more than anything, that are managing themselves in that space. So a lot of, you know, negotiating emails back and forth. I feel like one thing that a lot of people come up against is that negotiation side of things, especially when you are representing yourself to, you know, charge higher rates and be able to, I know I've even had a few that are like, you know, gifted. I'm like, no, you can pay me. And then they end up paying me kind of thing. So, being someone that, because you've also worked in the brand side of things, I feel like you have really good insight into both kind of parties.
For sure.
What are kind of some misses or like do's or don'ts, or just like some value that you can give to people that are kind of negotiating on their own behalf, where people go wrong and how it can kind of be like misinterpreted on the brand side of things, and making sure that there's someone that they know, like, I actually can charge for this service as well.
Yeah. I think there's a huge difference in, you know, if you're, let's just say you're a UGC creator, if you're reaching out to a brand and it looks like it's just a mass email that has been sent out to 20 brands, I think brands will often see that and they will get so many of them in their inbox to be like, oh, like that's a copy and paste email. Like, why would I waste my time on that kind of? Whereas if you're going in and you're being like, look, this is the content I can create for you. You are able to use this for ads, blah, 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 blah. And then this is what will cost you. You're kind of like not doing their job for them, but kind of. Like it makes it so much easier for them to get it across the line, because you've got to remember the person you're talking to a lot of the time has to sell that to someone else to get it across the line. So if you're able to be like, you know, I can do ABC video, you can use these for ads, then they are looking at that being like, okay, I'm getting something that is worthwhile to me out of that, not just being like, I love your product, so let's collab.
Yeah.
And so I think when brands can tangibly see the value in something, you're way more likely to get something across the line. And I always kind of think in my head, like, you know, for example, when you're saying like brands are wanting to gift you stuff, why not ask?
Yeah.
Because the worst they can say is like, sorry, we don't have budgets. And you're like, okay, well, at least I asked the question.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think there's any harm in asking, but I think selling the value of what you can do for them is a huge step that is often missed.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that for negotiating, I know I had Kate on the podcast, I think it was this time a year ago, and he was speaking about that, but it's like actually starting with the value, and it's the same for any kind of pitch. But when I like audit pitch decks with clients and it's like page 2 is about me, and I'm like, the brand or like the client respectfully doesn't care. They care about what that you can actually bring for them and how you can actually create difference in their inbox when they're being flooded with like all of these pitches that are just copy and paste.
100%.
Yeah. Is there anything from then, if that it's been an inbound collab, so probably what you experience more than anything as well with the girls, you're like, you know, how do you kind of gauge as well, we could get more for this, and kind of negotiate with an inbound as well? Like any tips on that side of things for the talent?
Yes. Okay. So I think it's a bit of a hard one because I think as well you have to think about the brand in the context of life. So like, for example, right now in the economy, you've got to think like, oh, maybe e-com brands don't have as much budget as they usually do or like, but you know, places that are like selling essentials, maybe they have a little bit more budget because that's really important right now. So I think it's also, I guess, a conversation on what they're asking for and like how much that is worth to them. So if they're kind of like, I always ask brands, I think it's such an important question when they ask to collab with content creators, especially when they have an audience, you know, what is the goal of what you're wanting to engage this creator for? Is it because you like their style of content and you just want content out of it? Is it because you want to make sales? Is it because you want to drive awareness? Like they are very different goals for a business. So understanding that then gives you a better idea of like, okay, if they're wanting the content, maybe they're not going to want to put as much into it as if they were like looking for sales.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I love that.
And I think it's just a matter of, you know, if they're coming in pretty low, for example, just being like, oh, look, this is not the usual rate that we would go for. This is her usual rate. Like, where can we meet in the middle here? What can we add or remove to kind of get it to that figure?
Yeah. I love the piece around goals because I am so often in like the sales side of things when someone inquires to work with me as an example, and I'm looking at like, okay, well, what do you want to achieve in your business? To really understand what is driving them. Is it, you know, they're wanting to simplify their systems, they're wanting more inquiries, sales, and it's going to be very different outcomes, and that's 100%. What you can use in the actual pitch as well. So I love that, basically just applying that sales concept when that people reach out of like, what is it that you're wanting to achieve? And you can then have that leverage, if you will, to shift things.
Yes, because I think it's then like, oh, you know, the brand really loves so-and-so's style of content. And it's like, okay, well, if you can't meet us at this figure for one piece of content, what if we did like, you know, some photos alongside it and then, you know, that's some extra value for you. Can we get the figure a bit higher in that case?
Yeah.
You know?
And that's another episode of Simply Business. I would love for you to rate this podcast, comment below. If you have any feedback, DM me on Instagram, and even better, share it with your friends, family, or share on Instagram. See you in the next episode.